Hey YouTube, Wes here checking in with a brand new episode of the Vinyl Survivor Show. Hope you're all doing well, having a great day or great night. The Vinyl Survivor Show is all about the kind of the final reckoning of albums that I have purchased in the past. Vinyl Survivor is where I tell you a little bit about each one, let you know what I thought of them after giving them a serious deep listen, and let you know whether they're going to be staying in my permanent collection or going away, whether they just weren't for me. So let's go ahead and get into this episode of the Vinyl Survivor Show. The first thing I have here for you is a hip-hop album by the artist Mystikal titled Ghetto Fabulous from 1998. And this is sort of just a promotional plain sleeve kind of release here with just a hype sticker on it. 2 LP set, pretty basic release, very common of what you would get on hip hop releases in the late 90s, if you got any at all. This is when Mystikal joined No Limit Records, I believe. He opens the album with Round Out the Tank. This album also has this track, I'm on Fire. That's the Rapper track. Yeah, kind of a very hardcore southern kind of hip hop, I guess you could say. There's one of the LPs. So yeah, this album was kind of sort of a nostalgic thing for me at the time this came out. You know, the late 90s, early 2000s. I was heavily into the commercial hip hop scene, so anything new that was hip hop that came out that was, you know, very commercial, that I could get at like Best Buy, you know, I would always go there on Tuesday mornings and buy the new releases. And so this was something I bought and something I got into at the time. So you know, when I can pick these up inexpensively on vinyl, I do, and this is kind of part of that collection. So, you know, not incredible, but just some good nostalgia here, and some Mystikal is a pretty good rapper, and I do enjoy listening to this. So that one is staying in the collection. All right, next up we got a classic 80s pop group here, U2, with their album War from 1983. I think it was 1983, yes. And this one has Sunday Bloody Sunday on it. Yeah, just a classic album from them. Really enjoyed listening to this. Not much needs to be said about U2. You either love them or hate them, I think, for the most part. Yeah, I've really enjoyed listening to this album, and I do like U2 as a group, and was glad to find this at some point along the way, and I'm glad to finally add it to the collection. So this one is staying in the collection for sure. Purple Island label. Nice label there. So U2's War definitely gets a thumbs up for me, and it's staying in my collection. All right, next thing is the 2015, I believe this is her third album, by Florence The Machine. This one is titled How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful. Yeah, really nice album from Florence The Machine. Really enjoyed this one. This one, you know, it's Florence The Machine. She's got a really big voice. She's got a really big sound to her. Really nicely produced albums. Definitely enjoy Florence The Machine, and enjoy collecting her stuff. And this album is really good. You know, the title track, How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful, was a big hit for her. And yeah, definitely enjoyed having this on vinyl and giving it a listen. Sounds great. You know, anyone with a big voice like that always sounds great on vinyl. It's had some nice photography on the inner sleeves, the original inner sleeves. There's the second one. And then there was a nice poster included as well. Inside the poster, we get some liner notes. So that was some nice packaging on this album. I'll give them glad for that. I'll just show you one of the LPs. This is on black vinyl on the Republic label. So yeah, Florence The Machine, How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful from 2015. definitely gets a thumbs up from me. I dig Florence the Machine. I collect all her stuff, or all her major releases, and so yeah, this one is no exception, and I enjoyed listening to it, and this one is going to be staying in my permanent collection. All right, next up, moving back to the 80s, we have Robert Palmer with his album Heavy Nova from 1988, I believe. Yes, 1988. This one features Simply Irresistible on it. I have a thing for Robert Palmer. I don't know what it is. I just love his voice. I love his music, and I dig Robert Palmer quite a bit. So I pick him up whenever I see one I don't have, and so it did not have this one, and picked it up, and definitely enjoyed listening to it. Inner sleeve, and then some lyrics as well. And then there's the vinyl on Manhattan Records. Yeah, I just as I said, I really dig Robert Palmer and his just very cool 80s production and the cool 80s very sultry kind of voice, and just dig his stuff. So glad to have this one. This one definitely, I like it a lot as well. It gets a thumbs up for me, and it's going to be staying in the collection. All right, next up, a bit of, I guess you could call this dance music from 1988 as well. This is the Jams, aka the Time Lords, with Burn the Beat, also known as the KLF later on. And this is a 12-inch single for Burn the Beat. Yeah, just really dig this stuff. I've always dug the KLF. I didn't know them at this point. I didn't know the KLF until they came out with 3 AM Eternal, like 88, 89 maybe, somewhere around there. Shortly after this, they just blew up and were huge and all over the radio, and I just really enjoyed them, and I bought the cassette of the album and just listened to it all summer. I remember listening to that, so really dug the KLF. And they're a group. They never had their stuff put out digitally, basically. I mean, there were some CDs, but at some point in the 90s, they decided to basically take their catalog out of circulation. So they've never been streamed. The record company can't repress any more CDs. So anything to do with the KLF, it's always fun to find physical media of theirs, because it's not going to be made anymore, and you can't find their music on streaming sites. So cool to find any kind of KLF related, or Time Lords or Jams kind of stuff. There's the 12-inch single there, sort of a custom label on TVT Records. Don't normally seek out or collect 12-inch singles, but occasionally I make an exception, and this is definitely an exception for that. So this one's going to be staying in my permanent collection. All right, next thing I have to share with you is a piece of, I guess, what I'm going to call indie rock. I don't know a lot about this group. It's kind of obscure. The group Spot. This is an EP they did, 4-track EP. They did in 1995 on Ardent Records. Yeah, that's that Ardent Records out of Memphis, Tennessee. Well known for the why am I blanking on this? Big Star. Yeah, this was a cool listen. Really definitely can get that sort of similar indie rock kind of vibe. And the only thing I can say is just look this up on, it's probably here on YouTube if you want to check out this group and hear what they sound like. Can't really do a really good job of explaining what they sound like. But this piece of vinyl is also pretty awesome. Yeah, I just saw this in the bins at a thrift store one day and wondered what it is, and then saw what this vinyl looked like, and I thought, for whatever I paid for it, 25 or 50 cents, I thought, there's no way I'm leaving that behind, just based on the color of the vinyl. And the music's good too. So as I said, I enjoyed it. It's kind of an indie rock kind of thing is where I would place it. Mid-90s indie rock, a little bit thrashy at times, but it definitely gets more mellow also. But yeah, I dug it, and it's going to be staying in my permanent collection. So All right, next up I have a compilation from the Beach Boys titled Surfer Girl. Probably one of their lesser known compilations. This has a mixture of Beach Boys stuff. You know, you got some bigger, more well-known Beach Boys tracks, and you got some deeper tracks on here. So I thought this was a really nice compilation. I mainly bought this because I liked the album design. I like how they did these stripes that sort of match her bathing suit. I thought it was just a really nicely designed album cover. So yeah, just an interesting compilation of Beach Boys stuff. And you got a couple of their bigger tracks on here. You got Surfer Girl, Why Did Fools Fall in Love, All Summer Long, Be True to Your School, and then you got some other stuff like Alley Oop, Your Summer Dream. Just some cool Beach Boys music, and as I said, I bought this for the cover mainly, but I enjoyed listening to it as well. And that's on the Pickwick label, so it's kind of a budget label kind of thing. You know, they threw on a couple of hits and threw on some other lesser known tracks. Hope people would buy it. But yeah, now sort of 40 or 50 years on, I dug hearing this, so it was cool. Some deep tracks and some stuff you know already. So yeah, this Surfer Girl compilation from the Beach Boys is going to be staying in my collection for now. All right, next thing I have to share with you is the soundtrack to the movie Party Party from 1982. So you got a lot of early 80s sort of pop kind of stuff on here, some synth pop, some new wave-ish kind of things, I guess. You know, you got Elvis Costello, Dave Edmunds, Altered Images are on here, Bananarama, Madness, Sting is on here, Midyear, bunch of different artists on here. It's the backside with some pictures from the movie. Overall, this was okay. I enjoyed listening to it, but I don't think I'm going to be keeping this. There's nothing on here that really grabbed me. It made me want to keep it. It is on the A&M Records label. So yeah, the Party Party soundtrack. I enjoyed listening to it. I haven't seen the movie before, so it was just enjoyable, but not something I think I'm going to be wanting to revisit anytime. So this one's going to be not staying with me. So this is the first one that is not staying this round. All right, next up I have another movie soundtrack, this time from 1987 for the movie Made in Heaven. This is another movie I have not seen before, so I do not know what it's about. Something to do with babies, I guess. I don't know. There's the back cover again. A lot of great 80s artists on here. You got REM. Rick Ocasek is on here, which, as I'm filming this, he just passed away a few days ago. Luther Vandross, Buffalo Springfield is on here, but I already have Buffalo Springfield stuff. And then Mark Isham doing some score type stuff. Again, I enjoyed listening to this, but it's not something I think I'll want to revisit either. So for that reason, this one's not going to be staying in the collection either. And that's on the Elektra Red and Black label. I do like that label. So yeah, Made in Heaven, enjoyed listening to it, but not something I think I need to hear again. So that's going to be going away. Okay, last but definitely not least is the, what year is this? 1984 album by Men Without Hats. This is Folk of the 80s 3, Part 3, Folk of the 80s Part 3. A Men Without Hats album I was not familiar with before listening to this. I don't think there's any real hits on here. There's nothing I recognized as a hit, as something I had heard before. But I really, really love this album. This is just an awesome, awesome album. I dug it. I just enjoyed this. This just hit me right with the sort of synth poppy kind of vibe to it. Yeah, I was really happy to spin this and listen to it and experience it without knowing what I was going to get, without knowing, without thinking, oh, this is the album with that song on it, that kind of thing. It was just sort of brand new. It was almost like they had put out a new album and I was hearing it for the first time. So that was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, definitely recommend this one if you haven't heard it before. A really good album, really solid album. And it's on the MCA Rainbow label. Yeah, so Folk of the 80s Volume 3 is going to close out this episode of the Vinyl Survivor Show. This one is staying in my collection. Really dug it. Definitely a highlight for me to listen to, and definitely a highlight of this round. So thank you all for watching. Hope you're all doing well. If you aren't already, please subscribe, and you'll be notified when I put up new videos. Have a great day, great night, and we'll see you again real soon. Cheers.